Tom and Izzy were in the same class. Izzy thought Tom was dreamy. She'd stare at him during math. She'd doodle his name in a notebook.
Tom is just so dreamy.
But Tom? He didn't even notice her. He was too busy playing video games with his friends. Izzy would try to talk to him. Tom would just walk away. It was like she didn't exist to him.
Hi, Tom. How was your weekend?
Yeah, whatever.
Izzy never gave up, though. She believed in true love. She thought Tom was her soulmate. Every day she'd try something new to get his attention. She'd wear her prettiest dresses. She'd laugh extra loud at his jokes. But Tom kept ignoring her. It was like she was invisible.
Oh, Tom, you're so funny.
Izzy's friends told her to move on. They said Tom wasn't worth it. But Izzy couldn't help how she felt. Her heart did flip-flops whenever Tom was near. She dreamed about holding his hand. She imagined their first kiss. Tom, on the other hand, just wanted to be left alone. He thought girls were annoying. He'd rather play soccer than talk about feelings. This went on for months, Izzy crushing hard, Tom avoiding her like the plague. Their classmates found it funny. Some even made bets on whether Tom would ever notice Izzy. It seemed like an impossible love story, but sometimes the most unlikely pairs end up together. And that's exactly what was about to happen to Tom and Izzy. Izzy was not one to give up easily. She came up with all sorts of ways to show Tom she liked him. Her favourite was giving him silly nicknames.
Hey, Tommy Wommy.
Tom would turn bright red. He'd try to hide behind his friends, but Izzy didn't care. She thought it was cute when he blushed. Another thing Izzy loved to do was give Tom what she called squeezy hugs. These were not your average hugs. Oh, no. These were tight, all-encompassing hugs that left Tom gasping for air. Izzy would sneak up on him between classes. Before Tom knew what was happening, he'd be trapped in her arms.
Squeezy hug time.
Tom would squirm and try to escape. Izzy also had a habit of leaving little gifts in Tom's locker. Heart-shaped notes, candy, even a pair of socks with Tom's face printed on them. She thought these presents would make Tom fall for her. Instead, they just confused him. He'd find the gifts and quickly throw them away. He didn't want anyone to see and think he actually liked Izzy back. But Izzy's most embarrassing move was during the school talent show. She signed up to sing a love song. When it was her turn, she dedicated it to my future husband, Tom. The whole school laughed. Tom sank so low in his seat he practically disappeared. Izzy belted out the song, off-key but full of feeling. Tom wished the ground would open up and swallow him whole. Tom was not amused by Izzy's antics. Every time she called him Tommy Wommy, he'd snap back with an insult.
It's Tom, Dizzy Izzy.
He thought if he was mean enough, she'd finally leave him alone. But his harsh words only seemed to make Izzy try harder. It was like she couldn't hear the anger in his voice. Whenever Izzy tried to give Tom a squeezy hug, he'd dodge her like she was contagious. He became an expert at spotting her coming. As soon as he saw her, he'd dart into the nearest classroom. Once, he even hid in the girls' bathroom by mistake. That was embarrassing. But not as embarrassing as being caught in one of Izzy's hugs. Tom's friends thought the whole situation was hilarious. They'd tease him about his girlfriend.
She's not my girlfriend.
Tom would get so mad his face would turn as red as a tomato. But the more he denied it, the more his friends laughed. They started making kissing noises whenever Izzy was around. Tom wanted to disappear. At home, Tom complained to his parents about Izzy. He begged them to let him change schools. His mum just smiled and said it was sweet that Izzy liked him. His dad told him to be nice to her. Tom couldn't believe it. Even his parents weren't on his side. He felt like the whole world was against him. All he wanted was for Izzy to leave him alone. Everything changed the day Tom's parents dropped a bombshell.
We've arranged a date for you with Izzy.
Tom choked on his spaghetti.
What?
He spluttered. His dad explained that Izzy's parents were old friends. They thought it would be nice if Tom and Izzy spent some time together. Tom was horrified. This was his worst nightmare come true. No amount of begging or tantrums could change his parents' minds. The date was set for Saturday night. Tom spent the whole week dreading it. He tried faking sick. He even considered running away. But in the end, he knew he had to face his fate. When Saturday came, Tom dragged himself to Izzy's house. His stomach was in knots. He felt like he was walking to his doom.
Tommy Wommy.
She squealed. Tom winced. This was going to be a long night. They went to a movie. Tom sat as far from Izzy as possible, but somehow, by the end of the film, Izzy had scooted right next to him. After the movie, they went for ice cream. Tom had to admit it wasn't as bad as he'd feared. Izzy was actually kind of funny when she wasn't trying so hard to impress him. They talked about school and their favourite TV shows. Tom found himself laughing at Izzy's jokes. He was surprised to realise he was having a good time. Maybe Izzy wasn't so bad after all. As they walked home from the ice cream shop, something strange happened. Tom started to notice things about Izzy he'd never seen before. The way her eyes sparkled when she laughed, how cute her nose was when it crinkled up. He even thought her squeezy hugs might not be so bad. These new feelings confused Tom. He'd spent so long avoiding Izzy. Now he didn't want the night to end. They reached Izzy's front porch. An awkward silence fell between them. Izzy looked up at Tom, her eyes full of hope. Tom's heart started racing. Without thinking, he leaned in and kissed her. It was quick and clumsy, but it sent sparks through both of them. When Tom pulled back, he was shocked. He'd just kissed Izzy, and even more shocking, he'd liked it. From that moment on, everything changed. Tom stopped avoiding Izzy at school. He even started calling her Izzy Wizzy, but only when no one else could hear. He found himself looking forward to her squeezy hugs. The gifts she left in his locker became treasures instead of trash. Tom's friends couldn't believe the change in him. They teased him more than ever, but this time Tom didn't mind. Izzy was in heaven. Her crush had finally noticed her. She still called Tom Tommy Wommy, but now he'd smile instead of scowl. They started sitting together at lunch. They'd hold hands in the hallway, and yes, they shared many more kisses. It wasn't always perfect. They had arguments and misunderstandings, but they worked through them together. Tom and Izzy had gone from avoider and admirer to a real couple, and they were both happier than they'd ever been.